Welcome, everyone. Back after halftime. We're in the second half here of the Super Bowl Innovation Summit. I am so excited to be up here with this amazing group of individuals. For those of you who have followed the Bay Host Committee for a little while, the last time I had Mayor Lurie on a panel, I called him David. So I'm going to try not to do that today.
By the way, I responded.
As David.
You can call me whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't give me that leeway. That might not end well. So thank you guys for being here today. We're going to talk a little bit about the future of live events. And we really wanted to make sure that at the Innovation Summit this year, we were talking about innovation in its most broadest form. And so this morning, we spent a lot of time in the technology space. But in the afternoon, we're actually going to go much broader. And I think, as in leading the Bay Area Host Committee over the last 2 or 3 years, I've noticed a complete revolution in the live event space, and I think all three of you have really good expertise in doing that. And so first, let me start by introducing, not that they need an introduction, but who's up here on the stage. So on my far left, my really good friend, Peter O'Reilly, Executive Vice President at the NFL, definitely in charge of Super Bowl 60, and so much more. Peter, we've had a really great couple of years here and so much more that the NFL is doing, and I'm excited to have that conversation today. In the middle, Mayor Daniel Lurie. Mayor Lurie was actually the board chair for Super Bowl 50, and so he did this job 10 years ago, has given me a lot of pep talks along the way, and has probably a lot of opinions on, maybe not on this Super Bowl yet, you can give me those later, but on just live events in the city and how you see that changing in the future. And then, you don't need an extra introduction either, but Alexis Ohanian, here, founder. You said I can ask you anything that Mayor Lurie won't answer, so that will be
great.
That will be really good.
The gift and the curse of being the Reddit guy.
I know, exactly.
I'm unfazable, ask me anything.
I told you that Mayor Lurie will throw a lot of questions if you give him that permission. So we're going to talk a lot about Athlos today and just all you've done in the live event space to move those forward. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Peter, I'm going to start with you today, and we're going to get started just about thinking about how events have changed. So what do you think has changed fundamentally around live events over the last 5 to 10 years?
Well, thanks, Z. And it's interesting if you say 10 years, because 10 years ago we were working together on Super Bowl 50, and you think of all that's changed between Super Bowl 50 and Super Bowl 60, and you think 5 years ago we were in Tampa in a stadium that was majority cardboard cutouts. And had only vaccinated healthcare workers and cardboard cutouts in there, and that was very different. And I think this has always been the case, but the power of live events and live experience has never been stronger. And that's true for the in-person experience and the need for community and coming together, and that's certainly true from a media perspective. I think 96 of the top 100 television programs in 2025 were live sporting events.
Wow.
Live sporting events, I think 85 of those were NFL games, but that's that power of live to bring people together via media, but that doesn't resonate unless you've got a really authentic, powerful, live on-site experience. And I think COVID certainly taught us when we had empty stadiums and those stadiums were echoing the importance of coming together, that communal experience that's pretty unique. We're so head down, but that opportunity now to come together, and that's especially big global events like this, as well as really custom, unique, smart things that people like Alexis are doing, that's what's breaking through.
Mayor Lurie.
On just live events?
Live events in general. So
well,
you have a good perspective, right, from 10 years ago to today, too.
10 years ago, I would say, working with Al and the Niners, new stadium, and San Francisco leading into it was doing pretty well. And we had opposition from elected leaders saying, I don't know, do we really need the Super Bowl here? I kid you not. And this time around, everyone's like, and because we were taking hits as a city, everybody's been on board. And everybody is pulling in the same direction. That's a big difference. And it's obviously just so much easier this time around, right, Zaileen?
Easy,
You
smooth.
have been. I mean, it's different. It has grown. I mean, I think you said that in 50 it was going to be the biggest ever. The magnitude in our city, we have over 300 events just in San Francisco alone.
Yep.
I know San Jose is doing their own events, and Santa Clara's obviously got the game. Oakland, it's a regional event, and that is so hard to pull off. But one thing I will say is, we as a city needed this, and we are delivering. San Francisco has always delivered world-class events, but we were being punched, and our answer has broken through a little bit over the last 6 to 12 months as crime has gone down and the economy is coming back. But now on a global stage, when you have Pat McAfee saying great things about our city, when you see Stephen A. and others saying great things about San Francisco, like that resonates. And it's not just about this week, it's about people leaving and going home or watching and coming back to our city and our region. So big events, live events, we embrace them, we need more of them, and so we're grateful to the NFL for giving us a second one in 10 years, and we're gonna take it and run.
That's right.
Gosh, it's funny. This is like a trip down memory lane because 10 years ago, I was living here in San Francisco. I'd just come back to Reddit as executive chairman to help lead the turnaround. And it's funny, in 10 years since now, so about 5 years ago, the world shuts down for COVID, and I very publicly step off the board of Reddit, and I say, look, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life building in a way that aligns, business excellence with my values. One of the first things I did there was put money into starting a women's soccer team in LA, Angel City, and have since now spent most of the last 5 years doing a lot still in tech, but a lot in sports and with live events. And the story all kind of comes back together because I'm seeing now what, as you pointed out, COVID reminded us how much we miss being around other humans. And I was bullish about how undervalued women's sports was and was willing to say it publicly and put dollars behind it. But in the last, call it 3 years since the rise of AI, I've only become more convinced, which is obviously a story that was born out of San Francisco, I've only become more convinced that live sports is going to be the only thing left truly standing in entertainment 5-10 years from now. It is the ultimate anti-AI bet, right? Hollywood is dealing with this existential threat right now as AI makes it easier to produce Hollywood caliber production. The music industry is dealing with it. I think live events will still thrive in music. Kendrick Lamar will be fine, Taylor Swift, Bad Bunny, they'll be fine. Very shallow, kind of one-dimensional poppy artists will probably struggle more. But live sports, right? We're never gonna pay money to see a bunch of robots hit each other on a football field, right? It has to be a human experience. And I think it's also so fitting and great timing that we are seeing right now at the dawn of these amazing new technologies. The Super Bowl right here in San Francisco is front and center, right? I was with an Anthropic executive last night who's been having a very good week. And we're talking about Super Bowl ads. We're talking about this collision of technology that's gonna shape so many parts of our lives, and it's all swirling back here in San Francisco, and it's been great to see the revival of the city.
Yeah, it has, and I'm obviously a little bit biased towards it, and one of the reasons that we obviously bid for the event, but put so much energy in it because it is coming at a time where we really want to re-showcase the region back out into the world and have people come back. Alexis, let's go to Athlos for a second here, because I'm so fascinated about the event that you created, not just as an event for an athlete, but as an experience. You want to talk a little bit more about just how that came to be?
Sure. The pattern matching for me was in 2019, the Women's World Cup was showing up, and I knew that was a top tier event every 4 years when everyone paid attention to women's soccer. But then for some reason, the athletes disappeared, didn't know why. So then the Olympics were coming up, and I looked again and said, okay, every 4 years, what is one of the most popular sports that then disappears? And bonus if it has a legacy of American excellence, especially for the women. And so track and field seems very obvious there. And you spend a little time curating just by talking to these athletes, Gabby Thomas, Sha'Carri Richardson, Tara Davis-Woodhull, and just asking them, what would you want out of a world-class event? Now, we did do the first one in New York. We're expanding to a couple more cities this year as the start of our proper season. And
You can bring the next one to
Yeah.
I mean, look, all we need is a track. And that's the other really nice thing in trying to create like a Formula One of track and field, right? Formula One's done an amazing job bringing a spectacle all over the world. They have to move a lot of very expensive, very heavy cars all over. Our athletes just need to remember their sneakers. So it's a very asset-light model that brings a spectacle of sport that is perfect for the digital audience, right? That digital fan who's only got a few seconds of attention span, those ladies are fast. It doesn't take very long to watch. And the atmosphere is part festival with the DJ spinning between each race. And it's opened my eyes to what I think is probably one of the saving graces of the fact that all of our screens are going to get really, really good at sucking us in. If you think the algorithm is good today at getting you to waste time when you're in the bathroom, it will get 1,000 times better at showing you what you want when you want it. And I actually think a part of our humanity needs that tension of sport, of live event, of communing. And actually, I'm quite optimistic about the fact that as that tech gets better, we'll actually crave these kinds of experiences even more. And I think we saw it in the whiplash after COVID when everyone was like, oh, thank God we get to be around each other. I think it will only continue in an age where those screens get so addictive. And this happens to be such a great town for it, obviously with a great sporting history. And I have to shout out, I don't know if she's here, but our head of revenue from Angel City went on to become the president of the Valkyries, Jess Smith.
Yes.
They're now the most valuable team in the WNBA.
You're here in the room. There she is.
Oh, there we go, Jess. Yeah. Okay. So again, these are stories that, and you'll never hear me. Yes, I'm a proud girl dad of 2. Yes, my wife is Serena Williams, but I never frame any of this. Yes, we should move for that. And who knows? Maybe she's performing in this year's halftime show.
Yeah.
She's not.
Back
She's
to
not.
back.
Spoiler. No.
Peter's like, Peter.
No, it's all. We're all excited to see Bad Bunny. It's gonna be great.
There are some special guest surprises.
Oh, all right. Got some alpha here.
Breaking news.
But these stories are spectacles, and they're successful and commercially viable, not because it's charitable, not because of feminism, not because of social. Those are all great things that I love. But these are amazing sporting events. These athletes are incredible. They are excellent, and there's no reason why we can't be seeing more and more of these success stories. And again, San Francisco is a great place to be hosting the Super Bowl for that reason.
I agree. And
I can't let him just keep saying Angel City without saying BAHC.
I know.
Let's go.
Touche.
Yeah.
There is.
No, but you all, what you did down there inspired a lot of BAHC. I remember when that was getting started. So what you've done down there has inspired a lot.
We love a good north-south rivalry.
And then we got the Valkyries.
The Valkyries are killing it.
Killing it.
Yes.
I mean, those events at Chase.
After one season.
I went to a game, and there was, and I hate to do this to the Warriors and to the Valkyries, but there was a delay with the scoreboard, or the scoreboards went out. And it was like a 25-minute delay. If you had been at a Warriors game, you would have been like checking your watch. People were having the best time. The environment at the Valkyries games is like, it's almost as good as the Niners. Sorry, it's like
be careful
it was
in the room here.
so good. Like the women's sports in this region is off the charts. It's so exciting. Sorry, Zay.
No, you please continue. I was going to go there because we're essentially bidding for your next event, and
Sounds
we
like
can
it.
bid for whatever Peter has coming up as well. But as we're sitting here, but Mayor Lurie, as you think about the future, and we want to bring more events into the region, into San Francisco, into the Bay Area more broadly, what do you think the role of host cities needs to be, and how does it need to change in order to do that?
Well, I don't know if it needs to change. I think we're hopefully setting a benchmark for what needs to happen with this one. Like, it's got to be partnership through and through. It's got to be the city having the back of, if it's a host committee, working with your mayors around this region, working with your local professional team, in this case the Niners, and then we got Noah, your boss, Z here, like JP Morgan and Noah Wintrob, like leading that effort and getting business involved. Everyone has to come together when you're talking about an event of this magnitude, and I think we're demonstrating that. Going back to your first question about it, I remember one of the biggest obstacles or challenges we were thinking about for Super Bowl 50, because it was a new stadium, it was only 2 years in, was how do you move a lot of people from here down to Santa Clara, especially on game day. And it was flawless that day, and I think it took a year, 2 years to figure that out, but we were working in partnership with the rest of the region. And so, any knocks, I know the media has been trying to push, like, well, all the events are in San Francisco, and how does San Jose feel, or you all have done a really good job of making people feel like it's the region's event. And so just, it's gotta be well coordinated. You gotta have your public safety officials on board. Our SFPD has just done phenomenal work this week. We got 2 more crazy nights to go of parties and fun, but they're doing great. But I just think it's always about leadership from the top wanting an event like this. So you obviously have that with myself and the other mayors, and then just all of us being united, because, I mean, Market Street last night, I was walking down it actually. It hadn't felt like that for 6 or 7 years. Our city has been coming alive over the last 6 months, but this really helps cement that that we're not only back, but we're going to go to heights that we haven't seen before. I think this technology that you were talking about, Alexis, I mean, OpenAI and Scale AI and Anthropic, and those are just 3 names. It's just out of control what is actually being born here in San Francisco. And it's not even down south. It's in this city.
Yes.
And we still have work to do, but it's happening, and an event like this just drives it home.
You know, I get asked often what the role of a host committee is, and you explained it really well, Mayor Lurie, which is I find myself in this role of convener a lot, of just bringing the right people together to be able to facilitate an operational plan or a public safety plan or whatever that is. And I think I was a little bit surprised that in the Bay that was hard to do, right? Because sometimes we do operate in our own regions and counties, and it does make us great because there's diversity in that, but to bring everyone together is and can be challenging. Peter, I met just this past week the Melbourne host committee.
Sure.
And they were asking me for advice. I was like, maybe it's a little too early for that. But you and the NFL do such a great job internationally, just with the expansion of the game around the world. Talk to us a little bit about how and why, although some of those reasons might be a little bit obvious, and then the role of a host committee and how you leverage a local organizer to help you really take advantage of the game abroad.
Yeah, first on the international side, for those who don't know, we are playing our first ever game, regular season game in Australia at the Melbourne Cricket Ground with 100,000 people. Announced the other day that the San Francisco 49ers will be the opponent of the Los Angeles Rams at that game. So, and that is one of a slate of 9 international regular season games we'll play next year, which is the most we've ever played. 7 was the previous high. We also announced this week we're playing for the first time in Paris. So gotten a lot of texts from people interested in going to Paris. And the Saints will be there. Some nice French culture, makes sense. But to your question, Z, this is really about us looking to become a true global sport property. We say humbly that we are the number 1 sports and entertainment property in this country. Outside of the US, we're a challenger. Outside of North America, we're a challenger. And we approach that humbly, where we're learning, we're growing the game. We're not just playing games as the circus coming to town. This is about going in, the game as a catalyst for year-round engagement, opening offices, building media and sponsored partnerships, building flag football, which is the unlock for girls and boys, young girls and boys, just needing a ball, a flag belt, and a patch of grass, one of the fastest growing sports in the world, now an Olympic sport for LA 28. We had it this week. We've got a flag field house at the convention center here in San Francisco, and every minute of every day there's incredible flag football being played there. We had teams from 14 countries here in San Francisco competing. So we're playing the long game here. It's about building relevance. It's about building fandom, and we're seeing that everywhere we go. And it takes good partners. Some people ask, why do you go to a city? You go because there's fans there. You need a good stadium. But ultimately, the decision is based on the people, the partners. Can you trust that person? Again, not everyone takes our call around the world. You want people who are believers. You know, those partners in Melbourne, they said, yeah, we want the NFL to come. We want to go big. And they've rallied all their public-private stakeholders to come together to do something big. And frankly, that's what you've done. That's what you did at 50. That's what you've done here. You need that partner who's willing to play at a high level and then roll up their sleeves and figure out problems together, because they pop up and you need that trust.
And let me double down, because this is about the evolution of live. I will make a bold prediction. Y'all can see how this ages. So fun fact about sports in the United States, we did not have baseball on two coasts until the advent of commercial jets. So being able to get on a plane and go across country, if you're a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, it's a sore subject, but that is what allowed baseball to have West Coast teams, just having a jet that could go fast enough to move players across the country. So let me give you a glimpse into the future. You talk about Melbourne. Melbourne is not as far away as you think it is. Right, and it doesn't hurt that I seeded this company called Boom, which just recently had the first successful supersonic flight test. They have orders already from United, these other airlines. We're probably 3 to 5 years from having supersonic flight. Remember the Concorde? Having it back. Wow. So imagine for a second what the world looks like when the NFL can put players on a plane and get them to Europe in half the time. Right? You start to see, just like, again, Google it, look at what the MLB, look at what changed in baseball once you could put players on planes and have them go cross country. The world will just get smaller because of technology. And again, when every screen is sort of feeding us what we want when we want it, the live experience of seeing the greatest to do it being that much more accessible, I mean, the market for these top leagues like the NFL is only going to grow bigger.
I'm excited.
So watch, we'll be...
Are we allowed to pitch things?
Yeah,
I thought
sure.
That's why I invited him.
San Francisco, crime down 30.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
I'll double down on this too. I watched all of this unfold as a tech founder and an investor, and there were a couple of stalwarts in my community who promised me, like my partner Caitlin, who were like, trust me, San Francisco is going to come back stronger than ever, yada, yada, yada. And you becoming mayor was a turning point that all of us in the tech community, even if we weren't based in San Francisco, said, oh, wow, I think this is a great sign of a city that's coming back. And so those numbers are real, the feeling is real, the energy is real, and it's a great thing to see. We need San Francisco to be thriving.
Yes.
As Americans, even if you don't live here, we need it to be thriving, and it is doing so much for the world. So you've done a great job there. No, that's true. Really true.
Keep pitching.
Keep
There's a reason we brought Alexis and Peter up on stage. That's all we're going to do up here. Let's talk a little bit about cities and the investment. So, of course, Mayor, you know this because you did 50. Cities do put in a lot of money to be able to host these events. And so we measure impact coming back in terms of economic impact. That's what everybody measures, success around these events. What else should we be measuring besides economic impact?
I mean, I think what happens a year from now, 2 years from now, how do our hotels, do they stand up? Do we get more conventions coming in because of an event like Super Bowl 60? I think it's I went to the Walter Payton Man of the Year event this morning at the Boys and Girls Club. There are things that you can't measure also. There was 32 NFL players with, probably 150 kids. Those 150 kids hanging out with their favorite players. Like, you're not going to measure that one. Like, one of those kids is just, like, they were starstruck for an hour and a half. And those players were getting a lot from it too. So there's stuff that you can measure, like hotel occupancy rate. We need retail to come back to San Francisco. We were able to, Ned Siegel, who's the head of Housing and Economic Development, is here. Like, he and I were touring around a major brand today saying, hey, look at what our city is capable of, and we're showing off Union Square. We got Zara opening up. We have all these retailers talking about coming back to San Francisco after leaving a few years ago. So you all coming back in 2 or 3 years and saying, okay, have we filled up the retail downtown? Are more people coming back to the office? How's hotel room nights and occupancy? Do we have more conventions, a couple years from now? I think that's all important. We've really stepped up. I think last year was about 25, 26 conventions. This year we're at 35 or 36. We're getting close to selling out the ability to host conventions here. So, there's the economic impact of $440 million for this week alone here in San Francisco. I know the numbers you put out is 1.2 million, including Super Bowl and World Cup.
Billion.
$1.2 billion dollars for the two events over the next 4 months. That's huge. But do people come and visit San Francisco? Do they come back with their families on vacation? And so we look forward to being able to measure it in the next couple of years.
Peter, in all of the cities that you work with are there different things that people measure that you're like, that's really interesting in how they measure success?
Yeah, I think it is. I think Daniel covered it really well in terms of the core economic impact. I think there's, yes, some of that's intangible, but I think there are really strong programs in place on the legacy side that can be measured. Programs, to your credit, like Bridge to Work that you've put in place, or what we've done together with the NFL Source program to take 115 local diverse small businesses and give them networking opportunities and contract opportunities around Super Bowl, which then creates this community that can be, when that next big event comes, you're already building on that strong base. And I think it's also looking at the fact that we're going to have 100 million plus in this country tuning in, and hopefully what will be a postcard to the Bay
That's
on
right.
Sunday. And then this game is going to be seen in 195 countries around the world, all pointing and looking at this opportunity. And that indirect impact of showcasing this city, you start to see those benefits in the years ahead.
Alexis, you've created a team, and you're an event creator. You've built companies. But in terms of the team and the event, on the other side, basically, do you look at what is your responsibility for the city that you're in or the region you're in terms of driving impact?
You know, one of the nice things with something as foundational as athletics is that it truly, I mean, it's a foundational sport for a reason. You talk to most NFL players, they probably ran track at some point. You talk to most athletes, they probably spent some time on a track. I think it's the #1 youth participation sport for that reason. It's incredibly accessible. And one of the nice things we can do with our fans is actually coordinate with local run clubs and with the local communities to get folks actually out and running the day of. I mean, some of the run clubs will literally run to the event, which for me, if I'm gonna have a nice Friday night out, have some drinks, I'm not gonna go run there. Big fella obviously does not run for fun, but there is a culture around running and run clubs that's phenomenal. And then we can also, we always have races from the fastest local girls in the community. So they get to share the same track as the gold medalists and the very best. And this is just a nice feature of the sport because it's so easy to integrate. And I think, I have to bring it back to football in this regard. I think the move into flag football is one of the smartest things I've seen the NFL do, especially because it is a sport that, for those of us who are dads of girls, becomes something that, if it can get professionalized, every one of our dreams comes true with having our daughters play like football as a professional sport. And it drops the barriers because the cost for equipment, everything else falls. And so I think, again, as we see more and more integration at these levels, my shameless plug for women's sports, but I think you're seeing it across the board, is you're also getting the buy-in of the entire family, not just the dad who's bought in, but the entire household and those kids. And the more you can integrate the live experience of the very best with the connective tissue to the community, I mean, it's real. The impact that those young kids are having seeing their favorite players, especially for the Walter Payton Award, which is about service, makes a hell of a difference. And I would expect to see more and more of this kind of integration for I mean, I didn't get an invite for the flag football match, but it's probably for the best.
Probably do that right now.
But those spectacles make a difference, right? They grow the game.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's really interesting for me to hear all three of you talk about how to measure impact, because we automatically go to economic impact, and there's so much more. And whether you can measure it or not, it has to be part of the conversation, so that when we do this again, number one, we do it a bit better. We know what to look for and how to build it. But more importantly, sometimes, is when you're advocating to bring, you're talking about a bunch of different things versus just economic impact. So helpful for me in my position right now. We are almost at time. One last question for you. If you think about the future, and we think about changing one thing as it relates to live events, obviously we're going to get there faster now. What is the one thing that you would change, or we should think about changing? Who wants to go first?
Alexis.
Gosh, okay.
Did you just say last? Oh, you
Yeah, let me go first. What would I change about live events? I think I think a lot about the fan experience, and again, as a technologist, one of the most interesting things about coming into the world of sports is that there are so many things in software that, by virtue of being able to just have innovation spring up, you just see such a rate of growth and change. And I think what you're starting to see with a lot of the more forward thinking, and I'd put the Niners in this category, of teams as they're building facilities, as they're building into the fan experience. There's a lot of technology that could drastically improve everything about that game day experience, from the moment you get your ticket to when you show up, to when you order the food, to when you leave. And I'm excited to see that level up. Because we're now at a place where we're all carrying these personal computers in us on real time, and we can order groceries seamlessly. We can order a car that drives itself seamlessly, and I think the game day experience is only going to continue to amplify and continue to be even just a better and better fan day delight. So
Agree.
Game day experience, way
Agree.
more tech.
Mayor Lurie.
I'm going to follow his lead. I just want to go and have a great time. My first thought was, it seems like some stadiums that are actually getting smaller, so you get a more intimate experience. You're closer to the game, and so my thought is like, how do you get as a fan, how do you feel like even closer to the game? Some of these stadiums, although I've never been to like the Big House and seen a game at 100,000 people, I'm sure that's like a whole nother level. So I'm just a lowly mayor of a city. I'm not worried about the live experience. I just want everybody to be safe and have the best time. What do you got?
Yeah, no, we want that too. I kind of go back to where we started on that communal experience that everyone craves, and I'm where Alexis is, that, and this has been a trend for a while, people aren't looking to just buy a plastic seat that they're sitting in to sit and watch a game. They want a communal experience. Like, that's what our new buildings are doing. Al's working on a lot of these projects right now. We want to get a younger generation who doesn't have the attention span to actually come into our games and want to be a part of it and experience that. And that takes different products. That takes maybe a standing deck where you're hanging with your friends and you're in your 20s, and it's a different experience than sitting in a seat. And Alexis and I were talking about this before. Like, ticketing has got to continue to evolve. It's still a little clunky, I think. We've got great partners, but how do you make that ticketing experience just the utilitarian side of it, and the fact that you've got a connection on your phone to that fan, make that experience better, communicate with them, deliver content to them. There's so much that's right there that I think is going to really blow up in the next couple of years.
Amazing. What a great conversation, you guys. Please give my panelists a hand. Thank you for joining. Thank you, guys.